time. The music's fading out. Last coffee drinks, I'll have another stout.
Well, it's the end of the night, it's time to close the bar. Okay? We're going to do a really thorough pack down here. I'm going to go through it step by step for you. Some of the things you won't be able to see, but take my word for it, they'll be done. Now, if you're ever in doubt, ask a supervisor or manager as to what needs to be done. We've got our opening and close checklist there, so we'll be working through some of those things. Really, really important with your garnishes that are okay to keep for the next day. Make sure they are okay to keep for the next day, that they're labelled and they're stored correctly. Okay? So I've got some of the lemons and some of the cucumber I was using for some of the cocktail demonstrations I've already done. I've glad wrapped them, okay? Glad wrapped is probably going to be your best friend. I've got some mint leaves and some mint heads. Now I've picked those down and they're between some damp cloth and they're in a sealed container, dated. So they can go into the fridge as well. I've got a whole bunch of mint here. I've dated that, wrapped it in cloth and I've glad wrapped it. It will last probably about 4 or 5 days. They're really good to go, so they can go into a fridge in a minute. I've also got some bottles open I'm using to make a cocktail. So make sure you get these pourers off. Lids go back on. Now, if you don't have the lids for the bottles that you've been using, glad wrap them. Okay? Now, the reason that we put lids on top of the bottles is we don't want any flies getting into the product, particularly if it's something like a liqueur that's got a little sugar, because those flies are attracted to the sugar. And one day you'll go to make a drink and there'll be little flies in the bottom. You don't want that, especially if there's a customer around. So they go there, to the side, back onto our back bar. All the bottles in our back bar have lids on them. I've got some lemon juice and I've got some sugar syrup. Label that, date that, that goes into the fridge. It's absolutely imperative that lemon juice and sugar syrup live in the fridge, okay? Otherwise they will go off and the sugar syrup will start to ferment, will start to bubble, and it's horrible once that happens. The little pourers, our little nip pourers or speed pourers, best way to keep these is, if you use them in cocktails, particularly with your liqueurs, just soak them in some soda water. Okay? Please do not put them through the glass washer because the heat degrades the rubber seals. I'll put some soda water on those and clean them up. Everything else that you've used, your cocktail shakers, obviously all the glassware that might be sitting near the wash-up station, that needs to go through the glass washer and it needs to get polished and it needs to get put back where it came from. You need to approach closing the bar from the point of view as how I like to come into a bar at the start of my shift, okay? Really, really important. So think about the next people opening the bar, where things are, where they've come from, and they're going back and they're clean. There's no stickiness, there's no residue on any liquid you're using. All right, we're nearly done. Everything I've been using is labelled, it's put away in the fridge, it's ready for tomorrow. Now I'm just going to clean down my bar top. Right, so as I said at the start of these videos, you would normally be using a plastic chopping board, but I've got wooden ones. So just put those away. Give them a little scrub and they're going to go through our glass washer and they're going to get dried, they're going to put back to air dry. Now just here we need these cloths. These cloths I had underneath my chopping boards, by all means use those again, give them a good clean and let them dry. And then we just want to give the place a spray and wipe. So I've got some sanitizer here. I'm sure you know all how to do this. But it's really, really important when you're wiping things down that you dry them, okay? Particularly around the wet areas, such as that over there, that sink, make sure those areas are dry. That's part of your pack down, otherwise it's a really, really good environment for bacteria to breed, which is what you don't want, right? All right, now, the other thing, the bins need to go out, and your bottles as well. So make sure the bottles go into recycling bins, the general waste goes into your general waste. The last thing you should be doing is the bar mats. Okay, the reason why we do them last is if people are packing and cleaning things, they were to drop something, those mats are there to make sure that whatever's dropped, say it's a bottle, less chance of it breaking. Okay, so at the end, when you've done all this, roll up your mats, take them away. If they need to be hosed down, by all means hose them down, hang them up so they're dry, come back into the bar, sweep up all the bits of fruit, sweep up all the little pieces of garnish that fall on the floor, straws and so on, mop, dry mop, and then you're pretty much done. Okay, all the cloths that you've used, so they get washed. They might get laundered in-house, or if you're lucky, it might get taken away and somebody else will clean them. Once all those things are done, the bar's closed. Then you're ready to have a knock-off beer, glass of wine, or whatever you're allowed to have. what the bar's presentable for the people who start the next day, because that might be you. Okay, thanks very much.